to Tidy Up Texan. I'm Nicole, and the day has finally come. It's part 3 of my garage cleanup. And if you missed part 1 and 2, I will link it down in the description. As you can see, it's a pretty big mess in here. We don't have a lot of storage options, and we had originally planned to put the furniture that came out of my mother-in-law's room down into the warehouse. And because we had all year long of storms, everything ended up being stored in the garage. But since there's such lack of storage in here, I have a new plan. And if you watch the first part of this garage cleanup, you'll notice the green hutch has been moved over to the other side of the wall, which we have been using for some storage. So I decided, instead of taking everything into the warehouse, I am going to utilize all these pieces as storage. And you guys, I am so beyond happy of the final result, so stick around to see just how this all pans out. With the amount of cobwebs and fur you see flying around, you wouldn't think that I actually blow this stuff out like every other day. But what do you expect with 6 dogs? Now, when I started this project, I kind of had an idea what I wanted to do, but I didn't have an exact plan, so I'm just kind of winging it as I go. This black piece of furniture here is a TV stand, and I wasn't too sure of where I wanted it at the moment, so I'm going to clear it out the easiest place I can see. Of course, the AC unit has to stay where it is, so we will be working around that. But once I've got this little section cleared out, we're going to go ahead and put that TV stand right here. If you're wondering what that gray tube is, it is some extra plumbing piping. As some of you know, Ryan is a plumber, and that piece has been floating around the garage for quite some time, so I am just going to leave it there and work around that as well. All right, now that we have this space cleared out, let's put the stand in place and give it a good cleaning. As you can see, it had gotten pretty filthy. My mother-in-law had passed back in February, so this piece has been sitting out since March. Now, I'm not worried about being perfect because it is a garage, but we do spend a lot of time down here, so I do want to get it cleaned really, really well. This side was caked on with dust. I'm going to do a little bit of dry dusting. I'm just using a paper towel before I go in with my cleaner. I don't know about you, but it is super satisfying watching the filth be wiped away. So before I started filming this, I was actually planning to do a whole different video, but I was going back and forth doing laundry and hanging out down here with the dogs. I knew I really wanted to get the garage done, but I had to wait for Ryan to take these big pieces down to the warehouse. But then I got the bright idea to go ahead and use these pieces as storage options. And that got me really excited. So I decided to change course, grab my camera, and get started. And of course, I underestimated how long this was going to take. It took me almost 5 hours to do. And with having a bad back, of course, that included all the many breaks I had to take. And usually I have a plan of attack from start to finish, but since I didn't know where everything was going to land, This whole task was super overwhelming. Oh my gosh, this was so much worse than I had thought, and there is no way I am sticking my hand in there. And I did check the drawers, but they were perfectly clean, so I was really happy about that. But before I clean these, I am going to use this broom and get as much of the cobwebs out as I can and any critters that might be in there. And there were critters. All right, I think I got everything out. Now it's time for some cleaning. But yeah, I usually have a full plan of attack so I don't get overwhelmed. But the further I got, the more overwhelmed I got. And I almost always start from one side to the other, which I kind of did. But because I didn't know where everything was going to land, I felt like I was jumping back and forth from area to area and planning as I go, which for me is not how I work. But since I have to take breaks as I go anyways, that really gave me time to sit back and look at what I'm doing and assess the next task, which made it a lot easier for me to manage, which in turn really kept the momentum and the excitement going. As I'm watching this back, I realized that I did not do the outs or the inside of this door on the right side, but such is life. So I have always hated this metal rack along the wall here, and I had totally planned to just get rid of it and relocate everything on it. So at this point, I'm thinking my next task is just to get this out of the way, move the two chairs, and make some space for the rest of the furniture. So I was really excited just to get this thing out of here. So I had to cut out the audio on this little part here. It literally sounded like nails on a chalkboard. So I will spare you that noise. As I was about to move these chairs, I noticed there was a bunch of little critters down here, and I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now I know you see that big old pile of trash in the corner and probably wondering why. So what had happened was somebody forgot to pay the bill. So last week's trash didn't get picked up and this week's trash has been piling up. So our trash bin will not be picked up until the following day. So we're just going to have to stick with it for one more day. All right, so as I'm going along, I decided that I don't like where the TV stand is sitting now, so I'm going to go ahead and push it over. And in its place, I decided to put that ginormous filing cabinet in its place. And this thing is heavy, so I'm just going to scooch it little by little until it gets into its place. And try not to drop that drawer that's on top of it on my head. Boy, was I sweating the whole time I was moving this thing. So much so that I forgot to press play when I was cleaning the upper part of the shelf, which I actually used a mop for because I can't reach. I'm pretty sure this thing is over 7 feet tall, but luckily I only needed to clean the outside because the inside was pretty clean, which meant one less thing to do. But this thing had been sitting outside for a bit and some birds landed on it. So I'm cleaning some of the bird doo-doo off. And this year we have a ton of birds. We started with one nest of two birds, which had babies, and then those babies came back next spring and made more nests. So we have several nests of birds outside. All right, finally all the bird crap is gone. And unfortunately, the bottom did get some water damage, but it is all cleaned up and ready to go. So the next task is clearing off the rest of the stuff along this wall. And I usually catty corner our sofa in this spot, mostly to keep the dogs away from the shelves. So I'm thinking to put the green bench back here and straighten up these shelves and then put the sofa back. But I wasn't 100% sure on that yet. But for now, my main focus was putting that bench into place. But first, we gotta clean it. You couldn't see it, but there was a giant wolf spider crawling along this side. I don't mind him being in the garage because he's beneficial to us, but I'm not about to go pick it up. So I just gently blew him to the side. And I'm sure he's one of the many culprits making all these cobwebs. And as you can tell from all the fur and the cobwebs that flew out of there, I wasn't about to touch that either. And that's one of the reasons I love my blower. All right, now that that's taken care of, we can finally wipe this thing down. I'm really not a fan of this color, but it's kind of growing on me, especially because there's no color on these walls. So it's kind of nice having a little extra color in this room. So you'll have to let me know what you think once I have everything in place. Okay, so I haven't done this in a while, but I'm going to play a little bit of music in between. I know it's not everybody's favorite, but this video is longer than usual, and being chatty is not my strong suit. But I want to get this video up in time for you guys. But don't worry, I will try to keep it as low as possible, just as background noise. All right, so we have a puppy cam, and I thought I was going to put the couch back, so I went ahead and put this step stool, which is not a step stool, but we're going to call it a step stool, up on this bench so that the camera can see over the couch. But I noticed that the cord was long enough to go ahead and put the puppy cam on the TV stand. Of course, there was spider webs all over these drawers. And as you can see, I only pulled out three of them because the fourth one is way at the top of that filing cabinet, which I had to pull out the ladder to get that thing down. But I did do that off camera. Alright, next I decided to go ahead and move the desk further away from where I had it because it was starting to feel a little crowded on that side. So the desk is probably going to be the only thing that you won't see me clean because hours before I started this video, I actually had cleaned the desk already. My next task here is to clear out that last chair, figure out how to move this trash out of the way so I can sweep behind it, and prepare the space for that hated shelf that I have that I am going to put back. But I also am going to relocate most of the stuff that's on it. Okay, this is where I'm perplexed. I don't know how I'm going to move all this trash without it coming straight down onto the floor and having to pick it all up again. All right, I did it, but that's as far as it's going. Now for the dreaded rack or shelf or whatever you want to call it that I just don't like, but I end up liking it at the end. And look at my sweet little Lily on the couch. All this time, she has been such a good girl, just sitting and watching me do all this work. But I just love this little girl. She is such a pain in my rear end, but I just love her. Now I'm trying to keep this wall very minimal as far as clutter goes, but it made a great stand for that fan, the battery chargers, and a few other bulky items. His fan usually gets taken apart every couple months so that I can clean the blades in it. And although the outside was filthy, the inside wasn't too bad. These two bags of gravel I'm going to be putting on the bottom shelf, they are actually gone now. We had a couple of bald spots on our driveway, and luckily these two bags were just enough to fill them. Okay, so back when I had taken a break, I was looking at this TV stand thinking, man, it just looks too bare right here. So I had Ryan go up to the spare room and go grab the extra TV, thinking this would be perfect for him to come down here and watch his baseball. Even though we have a gigantic TV in our living room, he likes to sit out in the garage and be able to smoke and watch his baseball on my tablet. So I thought this TV would be perfect for him. And of course, he absolutely loves it. So Ryan is a huge Dodger fan. And because we are now in Texas, the game starts really late here. And I'm a baby. I cannot fall asleep unless he's next to me. And now that he has his TV down in the garage, I now have to call him to come to bed because usually he has the tablet and just brings it up and watches it. But now I have to remind him to come upstairs. I pretty much got everything in place now, so I'm just trying to figure out where all these odds and ends are going to be placed. I know the reverse osmosis machine here is going to be installed in our kitchen, so I want to keep that accessible for Ryan to install. Otherwise, I would have hid it in the cabinet because I hate looking at it. So although it will still be out in the open, it's ready to go for when Ryan is ready to install it. All right, I almost have everything put away. There is a few things that need to be cleaned off and put elsewhere, but I also want to straighten up those shelves in the back. They are just way too cluttered for my taste, but there still are a lot of things that just have to stay there. But I am going to declutter a few things and kind of rearrange it a little bit just to make it look a little nicer. But at this point, I was really tired. So let's get this floor cleaned up and get a move on. All right, finally to these shelves. At this point, I was totally over this garage, but I just need to get this quickly done, organize it as best I can, and finally be done with it. In between the two shelves is all of our lake equipment. I have our Easy Up metal detectors, some floaty stuff, and a couple of ice chests, which is already pretty organized, so that is going to stay there. Everything on these shelves are super random, so I'm going to do my best to put as many like items as I can together. So on this upper shelf, I'm putting all the kitchen gadgets or equipment. Very top has stuff for the pool. And then there's a mixer up there, which is way too heavy, so that's staying put as well. On this very top shelf here, I usually keep our shopping supplies. So that foam cooler, the blue Costco bag, and the black insulated bag, that we all take to the grocery store, which is really far away for us. We have one grocery store that is about 15 minutes away, but everything else is at least half hour to 45 minutes away. So sometimes our things can melt or defrost, so we bring those coolers and insulated bags so our food can survive the trip. All right, finally these shelves are as organized as they're going to get for now. So on to the final task, put everything else back. Now that we have the TV out, I am not going to put the couch back in that corner. It's going to stay on the opposite side so that we can lounge and watch TV with our hounds. Everything that I'm putting on top of this green bench, that stuff is not going to stay. So eventually it will be completely cleared off and our mountain of trash will also be gone. But yay, we are finally done. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for spending your time with me today. And if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. And if you're not already, hit that subscribe and come say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. All right, now the final reveal. Enjoy these before and afters. And until next time, bye.